And what's the third one? You like having fun? Yeah. So this one is called pun. Very similar to fun. So let's start with the first one. I'm not going to tell you which one this is, but we're going to look at what we're seeing there. One side of the screen you're seeing positive, and the other side of the screen you're seeing negative. So where the sun is, it says the sun happily greeted everyone good morning. Question: do we actually hear the sun talking in the mornings?
No.
But do you sometimes feel greeted by the sun when it's shining through your window or so? So if someone says the sun happily greeted everyone good morning, then this would be an example of what? Make a guess out of the three that we're doing today. The sun doesn't talk. It can't speak because it's not a person. So if we're giving it the qualities of a person, then it would be? All right. So it sounds like what? Which of the ones we talked about earlier? We're looking at pun today, we're looking at onomatopoeia, and we're looking at personification. So if you had to guess one of them, which one would it be? The sun talking. Listen to them. It's giving the qualities of a person to this thing. So I could say this bottle told me that I look very beautiful today, or I could say that this bag is judging me because I don't look good today. So what am I doing with these inanimate things?
Giving it life.
Giving it life. So that would be which one? Personification. So personification is, we talked about this a bit last week too, right? When you give an inanimate object or a non-living thing or a thing that's not alive, you give it human qualities. So it's singing, it's dancing, it's reading, it's looking at me, it's talking to me. All of those would make something personification. For example, if your ribbon flew off your hair and I say your ribbon is running away, can your ribbon really run away? No, maybe the wind is blowing your ribbon, but if I say your ribbon is running away, you know exactly what I mean. And I'm giving life to your ribbon, so that's personification there. So the other example there is the sky turned dreary as the glum clouds enveloped it. So the sky turned dreary. So if you're feeling dreary, you're not feeling too happy, you're feeling gloomy or so forth. So if we say the sky is feeling dreary, sky doesn't have feelings, does it? So we're again giving it human qualities, we're making it into a person, so it is what device? Personification. So Alicia, I know you're looking at me, so I'm going to ask you this. If you had to tell a friend at school what personification is or what you learned tonight, what will you tell them?
I would tell them that personification is when you use something to describe another thing, but you don't actually like to describe another thing. But you don't actually, the qualities.
Okay, good. But are you describing this thing or is this thing doing something?
That thing is doing
Good. So you may be describing it, yes, but usually that thing is doing the action. And the action that the thing does is like a person, a human. So we're going to come back to a few more examples of these. Let's look at this photo that you're looking at there. The car was suffering and was in need of some TLC. Now, I'm not sure how often you would hear that term anymore, TLC. You may probably be familiar with LOL. Do you know what LOL is?
well.
There's another one, and I'm not going to say what it means, and you're not going to say what it means either. LMAO. There's this other one called BRB. So what's this one? TLC. What does TLC stand for?
Togetherness, love, and care.
Tender, loving care. Excellent. Let's give her a little round of applause. They're good. So if the car was suffering and was in need of some TLC, tender, loving care, then we're giving this car what two human qualities? The first one is suffering. Can the car feel pain? No. So if we say the car is suffering, that's an example of personification. And if the car is in need of some tender, loving care, if it doesn't have feelings, and it doesn't need this either. But if we say it does, then we're giving the car human qualities again. So personification, because a car doesn't have feelings, except if you look at the movie Cars, right, where they have feelings. Let's look at our third example now, and it's the form of a poem, the little corn flakes. So how many of you have had corn flakes for breakfast before? I've had. How many of you like having corn flakes for breakfast? Yes, or maybe you may be like some other persons who prefer roti and curry in the morning, or bacon saltfish, or other things, but today we're talking about cornflakes. So all the little cornflakes were so excited. Can you guys continue the reading for me? They were
getting
to come out and play. They landed in the milky pool and began frolicking away. So let's examine this. We already know what device we're looking at, correct? We're looking at personification. So help me locate the examples of personification used in this poem here. The little cornflakes were so excited. Anything there?
You're giving life to the cornflakes.
Yes, by saying that they are excited. Excellent. So yes, you're giving them life by saying that. And the other one, they were getting to come out and play. Can cornflakes play? Can they get ready? So that is also an example of personification. They landed in the milky pool. Nothing there, because you can throw flakes in the milky pool and they don't have to be persons, right? And began frolicking away. Do we know what this word means here? Frolicking? You've heard it before though? So it's more like a playful gesture. So you may be rolling in the grass, or you're running up and down, basically having a peaceful, fun time. So if they began frolicking away, they're having fun playing. Can the cornflakes, can they feel joy in playing? But in this example here, it's suggesting that they're having fun playing, right? So this is also an example of personification. So out of the examples that we give so far with the sun, the clouds, the car, and the cornflakes, which one was the most fun to learn about? Azaria first, and then Alicia. Which one was the most interesting example?
All were interesting.
All? Equally the same? What about you, Alicia?
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes. That one was interesting, right? Because it's about food, and who likes food, right? Everyone. Okay, so we're moving on to another type of device here. Can someone read it, please?
One in a melon.
One in a melon. So you're seeing a photograph of a piece of watermelon there. But what happens when you read it? What are you thinking about? Did I make a mistake? What does it sound like? I know a lot of persons play lotto hoping to win what?
Money.
Money, and usually the amount is what?
Cash.
Cash, yes, cash, but how much? 1 million possibly, right? Good, so people play lotto to win money. Look at that again, one in a melon. Melon sounds like what? Close your eyes. One in a melon. What does the melon sound like? Million, right? Doesn't it sound like a million? Good, so it sounds a bit similar to million, but they say melon. So one in a melon, they actually are also trying to say one in a million as well. So one in a melon is like a fun way of saying one in a million. So out of all the children, or out of all the moms, you're my favorite because you're one in a million. Something like that. So that's one example. Let's look at the other one, and you'll tell me which one was a better example in your opinion. This one is, let's taco about it. What does it sound like? You can see a photo of a taco. You've ever had a taco to eat before? So it's not necessarily a Guyanese food, but there's some restaurants now at the mall, and there's Taco Loco that they sell these tacos. So they're like a hard, crispy crust made of, I think, corn flour, and it's like a shell, and they would stuff the shell with different things inside. So that's a taco. So it's a kind of snack or meal, I suppose. So let's taco about it. What does it sound like? What's another way we can say it? All right, don't look at it too seriously. Sound it out with your voice and close your eyes. You may get it if you do that. Let's taco about it. Let's talk about it. Right, good. You're getting it. Good. So the first one in a melon, could have been 1 in a million. And this one here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So what did I say this device was? Also begins with P, but not as long as personification. Pun. So try to think of this definition of pun. What is a pun? Let's go to our next slide. Can we ask Azaria to read it for us, please?
The dog said to the
Bartender.
bartender, "Is it on my bill?"
Put it on my bill.
My bill.
Good. So what's the pun there? Look at the duck carefully. Is there any part of the duck that it can also be referred to as a bill? No? What do you call that yellow thing on its face? A beak? For some animals it's called a beak, yes, but for ducks it's called a bill. But if you go to a bar and you have to pay, when you're ready to leave, you tell the person, or at a store or at the restaurant, you tell the person you would like to have your bill. So basically they bring this bill to you, you then pay it, and then you can leave. So bill there can mean one of two things, and it can also mean both at the same time. So if I am saying I would like to have my bill, it's not a pun because the bill doesn't have two meanings there. But if the duck is asking for his bill, you can put it on my bill, or put it on my tab, or put it on my whatever. So if he says that, he can either mean my actual bill, the paper thing, or he can mean his bill. So a pun then has something that means this, but it can also mean
Something else?
Can mean something else at the same time. Sounds complicated?
Mm-mm.
So it means two things at the same time. And a lot of persons would make these comments, use puns, and then say, "No pun intended." So if they say that, it's like it just came out, like they were not trying to have a double meaning, they just said it like that. Have you heard that term before? No pun intended? Or sometimes some people would say pun intended because they intended for you to have two meanings for it. Can you think of any example that you have used, or maybe other persons have used around you?
No.
Yeah? No? All right, let's go to the other example again. And this is a poem that I am going to read for you. You can look at the screen and you can also listen to me read. So I listened to my chicken. It's a poem by Ken Nesbitt, I think. So we obviously have a picture of a falcock crowing there. And it starts this way. I listen to my chicken as she sings her cheerful song. I am tickled with my turkey as he gobbles right along. My duck sings so delightfully, I love my rooster's rap. And when my Cornish game hen croons, it makes me want to clap. I give my goose a gander, and I giggle as she chimes. For when it comes to poultry, I prefer the kind that rhymes. Now there is a pun there. Where is the pun? You have to find the pun in the poem. So quick guesses. Is it the first stanza, the second stanza, or the third stanza of this poem? It's a difficult one. So look for something that can has two possible meanings. So it can come in the form of like how you had one in a melon. So melon was spelt like melon, but it could have also mean million in a different sense. But it's not spelt million, it's spelt melon, but it meant both. The other one was what? Let's talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. So taco could have been let's talk about it. So it's not always spelled the same, but it can be implied. And then the other one was bill, meaning the bill of the dock as well as the tab or the bill that you collect from the restaurant or so. So what's the pun here? I'm going to give you 5 seconds, and if you don't get it, I'm going to give you a clue as to which stanza it's in, and then you will have to help me look for it again. 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're joining from the live, I'm not sure if you'll be able to pick it out for us, but if you got it right, you should give yourself a round of applause. It's in the third stanza. So look at the third stanza. Look at the third stanza and see if you can find it there. Any luck there? I give my goose a gander and I giggle as she chimes, and when it comes to poultry, I prefer the kind that rhymes. Would you usually find poultry rhyming? What's a word that's similar to poultry that rhymes? Again, don't look at the word, just think about it. Close your eyes for a second or so. Poultry also sounds like, and it rhymes. So you have to do a bit of thinking for this one. What is a word that sounds like poultry but it rhymes? It has to rhyme. English teachers talk a lot about this, and we're looking at an example of one right now. What is this piece here called? It's a poem, which can also be called poetry, and poetry usually rhymes. So the last 2 lines there, for when it comes to poultry, I prefer the kind that rhymes. So poultry means like chickens and ducks and so forth, right? You have on a farm or a pen or whatever the case is. But in the way they use it here, poultry could have also meant poetry if you just think about it a little bit more. How close were you to getting this one? On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not close at all and 5 being very close to getting it. 0, 1, Alicia? 5, you were close. All right, well, thanks for your honesty, both of you. So yes, does this one require a little bit more thinking than personification? Yes, a personification is very easy, but it's a little bit more tricky. So let's go to the other one now. And what is it? Onomatopoeia, exactly. And can you spell this word if it wasn't on screen? It usually gives persons a hard time because of the EIE at the end. It's a lot of vowels next to each other. So can we have Alicia read the definition there? A word that
sounds like the noise it makes.
Good. A word that sounds like the noise it makes. So before we look at the examples, can you give me an example, Azaria, and can you give me an example, Alicia? And those in the audience, if you're looking at this, you can probably type that into the chat box as well. What's a word that sounds like the noise it makes? Or the sound it makes, you can say that too. We looked at some examples last week when we said when he jumped into the water, it went splash. And in Guyana, sometimes we say plujung, or the gun, we can say boom. Or in Guyana, we have learned a new word. What's the new one? It was in a song by this guy, and we laughed about it last week. You forgot. Yeah, oh my God. Pishing wing wing, does that sound familiar? Good. So the sound it makes, that's onomatopoeia. So in different countries, it may sound different. So we can say boom for a gunshot. Boom, you can say that as well. Pishing wing wing, you can say that too. And for a splash, you can say splash, or you can say plujung. So those are two examples that I gave from last week as well. Can you think of any? Can you make a sound?
Like the duck that makes quack quack.
Duck, good. A duck making the sound quack quack. Excellent. Anything else? Any other examples you have up your sleeves? Any?
People screaming boom boom.
People screaming boom boom, or even you can say the boom boom box, right? Because the box makes that booming sound. Or if someone is laughing, you can say what? Some people would write H-E-H-E or H-A-H-A, ha 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 ha, he 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 he, right? Or if they laugh more, exactly that sound. I don't know how you write it. So it can be any amount of things. Once it captures the sound that you're talking about, you're good to go. So let's look at the example that I have here, and boom. And think of a clock. What sound can you use to show the movement of the clock? There's even an app named after this sound, and there's a song that Adrian Dutchin sang about this song. TikTok, right? Good. So the clock makes that sound. That's also onomatopoeia right there. Or something breaking, like a car braking. Somebody's pressing the brakes. What would that sound like? You know, somebody's telling a story, and he's driving speed, and then he mashed the brakes and he goes shoo, or they make some kind of weird sound like that, right? Good. So that sound is the onomatopoeia, the sound that it makes. So now we will have a look at a video. I want you to pay close attention. Each of you will come up and identify one example from the video. You can do it from your seat as well. One example from the video of an example of onomatopoeia. So you don't have to listen to everything. Once you have your one example, just raise your hand up so I know you have something to work with, right? So let's go.
Onomatopoeia? And that is a word. Why would you ever say that? Why wouldn't you say it? Onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia is an onomatopoeia.
Take the tank, fly it right up to the general's palace, drop it at his feet. I'm like, boom, you looking for this?
Yeah.
Boom, are you looking for what?
Okay, good. I'm going to restart.
And that is a word. Why would you ever say that? Why wouldn't you say it? Onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia is an onomatopoeia.
Take the tank, fly it right up to the general's palace, drop it at his feet. I'm like, boom, you looking for this? Boom, are you looking? Why do I even talk to you guys? Everywhere else that story kills.
That's the whole story?
Yes, War Machine story.
Well, it's very good then. It's impressive.
Quality set.
Pew pew, bang bang. I yell it, but then I go gang gang. Look back at my gang, say the same thing. Drip drop like the rain when I drain drain. Swish. What's the sound of the ball when you miss?
You got your examples yet? Yeah.
Check out the sting on my wrist. It goes like circles like fits. What sound does it make? Tickety tick.
Got yours?
Meow meow.
Azaria? Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're gonna take a pause there. I think we got a few examples there. So we're gonna start with Alicia first. What was your example, Alicia?
When the cat goes meow.
Meow, meow, right? Because the cat made that sound. Excellent. Azaria.
Pow.
Pow, yes, excellent. That was one too, right? Pow. So that's another sound for like a gun going off as well, right? Pow, pow, or whatever. And if a dog makes a sound, it would be what? Woof, woof, right? Good. So that one is also easy, right? So let's rate them by which one was the easiest to understand or to learn and which one was the most difficult. Number 1 will be for the easiest, 2 medium, and number 3 for the most difficult one to learn today. Zaria and Alicia, number 1 for you, the easiest out of the 3 that we did today.
Personification.
Personification. What would you say, Alicia? Onomatopoeia was the easiest for you. Okay, good. So we have one, 2 different ones. What will be the second one for you? The more complicated one for you? Pun. Not the most complicated. Still stick with pun?
Maybe.
Onomatopoeia. All right. Somewhat complicated. Pun. And the most complicated will be? Pun. And for you? Personification. This is interesting that one of you find pun to be a little bit complex and one find it interesting. So that goes to show that we're all different, right? And we wouldn't all learn at the same pace. And some things that we like, somebody else may not like. Some things we find easy, they may not find easy. So if you find a topic that you're not too clear on, that's okay. You don't have to feel as if you're a bad student or you're a dumb student or whatever, or a dumb person. So it basically means that we're all different and not everything will be the same. And you don't need to feel guilty about that at all. So thank you so much for your time today, girls. I really liked how engaged you were in the session today. And if you joined us for the live and you've been joining us for the few weeks that we've been on for Critical English, thank you so much. Your presence here is appreciated. We'll now move on to the math session where Miss Najima will take over, and I'm pretty sure you will give her your support as well and answer all the questions she is asking. So English, math, you're there for everything. So thanks again. Bye.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Those viewing on Facebook, good afternoon. Welcome to another session of Critical Math, grade 6 to 7, or I should rephrase it as grade 7. All right? So today we'll be looking at evaluating algebraic expressions. So let's begin. So what do we mean by evaluating algebraic expressions? So in order to be able to do this, right, so we are replacing the variable in the algebraic expression by a numerical value. All right? And so when we replace that variable by the numerical value, we try as far as possible to simplify the expression. All right? So the key factor here is we replace a variable by a numerical value. In other words, a number. All right? Okay? So let's examine a simple example to bring this concept forward. All right, give our students some time to write. So we're replacing a variable, and remember a variable in an algebraic expression is a letter, right? Which can be taken from the English alphabet, or in other cases, Greek alphabet, all right? But for our purposes, we will stick mostly to the English alphabet. And so after replacing the variable with a number, we try to simplify the given expression. So when you look at the expression, you are examining what's happening as it relates to the type of operations, right, that may exist in the particular expression. All right, we'll come back to this a bit. So this is what we mean. So for example, black, let me use black. Example. If I have find the value of the following when A is equal to 2. All right, so number 1, we'll have 2A. So what am I replacing? So the variable A is being replaced by the number 2. All right, so what is the relationship between 2 and A? What is 2 doing to A? Now when I say relationship, we're looking in terms of operation. Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or is it dividing? What are you thinking? So we can either add or subtract, right? So for example, so 2A can mean A plus A, right? Can 2A mean A plus A?
Yeah.
Because remember we did addition and subtraction of like terms. So 2A means 1A plus another 1A, which will give us 2A. Or 2A can mean 2A can mean 2 times A. All right, so it's a matter of perspective based on how you view it. Think you follow? So 2A is A plus A, or 2A can be 2 times A, which is the same concept. So in the first instance, I'm replacing A with the number 2. So I'll have 2 plus 2, which will give me 4. Right? So A plus A A is replaced by 2, so I have 2 plus 2, which gives me 4. Or, let me write an or here. Or I can have 2 times, what is A? 2, so I still get the value 4. Does that make sense? So it depends on a matter of perspective, like I said, right? So 2A can mean 2 times A, or 2A can mean A plus A. So you still get the 2A. So we revise from what we did in the previous class, where we add like terms. And so we can say A plus A is equal to 2A, or we can say 2A, sorry, is equal to A plus A. Same concept. Think you follow? Great. So secondly, if I have 2A plus 1, I'm saying 1, but write 5. 2A plus 1. So I want to know what is the value of 2A plus 1 when A is equal to 2. So again, 2A means 2 times A, right? So 2A means 2 times A, and we're adding 1 to that. What is A? A is 2, so we're replacing the variable by the value or the numerical value 2. So it's 2 times 2, and I'm adding 1. All right, so 2 times 2 will give me 4. 4 plus 1 will give me 5. 4 plus 1 equals 5. Make sense?
Yes.
Great. So let's look at another example. So once we're introducing more than one variables, right? Those variables that will take on different values. All right. So all right. Let's give our students some time to complete their work. All right, another language you might hear the term substitute, right? So we're substituting the number 2 in place of A, right? Or for A. All right. So you can see how addition and multiplication are related, right? In the first case. So they're related. All right, so let's look at another example. So we'll introduce, in this case, given, you can say x is equal to 1 and y is equal to, let's use a negative value here, or no, let me use a negative value. Let's say 3. Find the value of part, let's use number 1 instead of A. Number 1, xy. Number 2, x plus y. Number 3, 2x minus y. Simple. So let's do a little demarcation here to separate our calculations. So, xy. So what does xy mean?
1 plus 3.
X multiplied by y, right? So xy means x multiplied by y, so there's a multiplication sign hidden there. So it's x, ouch. It's x multiplied by y. And notice my x and my multiplication sign, I'm writing them a little different, right? So my x is a little curvy rather than the x. So you need to separate between the variable and what the operation is, right? So what is x? What are we replacing x with? 1. And we're replacing y with the value
3.
Great. So 1 times 3. So you can write equal here. 1 times 3 equals 3. Make sense?
Yes.
The second one. So what is the value for the value of the second expression there, x plus y? We're replacing x with 1, all right? So that's 1, and we're adding 1 to the value, all right? Y remains 3, and so 1 plus 3 will give us 4. Easy.
So when you write the answer, you don't put the letter at the end.
No. So if Azaria, for example, when you're replacing, the letter can be there. So if Azaria is going to work for you, will you be there? No. So that's the concept of substitution, right? So the person who's substituting, or the value that is going in place of the variable can be there, right? So if I'm substituting this pen for that microphone, in place of the microphone, I'm placing the pen, so the microphone is no longer there, all right? That's the idea. So no variable in play, because the variable is taking on a value now, all right? Great. So in the second instance, so 2x minus y means
2 multiplied by
2 multiplied by x, and then we're subtracting y. So what is going to happen as well is that, remember we examined some of the concepts that we did earlier as it relates to operations with integers. Remember we looked at addition and subtraction of integers? Those concepts will come back here as well. So it depends on how the values are placed. All right? So what is the value for 2x?
2.
X takes on the value 1, right? So it's 2 times 1, 2 times 1, and we're taking away the value. What is replacing y? The number? Yes, the number 3. So 2 ones, 2, and we have minus 3. Great, so this brings us to the concept of integers. So what are we doing here? All right, so we subtract. Good, so 3 take away 2 will give us 1. Very good. Now which number appears greater?
Why?
No, look at the number 2 and 3. Which number appears greater?
3.
3. What is the sign in front of that 3?
Minus.
Negative. So our answer is going to be
Negative.
-1. So you see how the rule comes back, right? Right. So remember, 2 minus 3 is the same as saying 2 plus minus 3. So when you're adding two different signs, right, you're expected to subtract. but the answer takes the sign of the number which appears greater, right? Which appears. So we use the term appears. All right, so now things can get a little bit complicated as well because you can have fractions involving these concepts as well. So if I'm going to use the same value, x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 3, for example, I can add, so we're using the same value, y is equal to 3, and so we can have a case 4 where it's x over y. We can have a case 5 where it's 2x over, let's call this 3y over 3y. Or we can have a scenario, another scenario where it's x minus 2y all divided by x plus y. We can have combinations like these. All right? We can have combinations like those. So we have algebraic expressions all over. All right, so x over y. What is x?
1.
1. So I can put here equals, x is 1, y is?
3.
Y takes on the value. So x over y becomes 1/3. See that?
Yes.
Great. What about number 5? So 2 times x means, 2x means 2 times x.
2 times 1.
Right, so it's 2 times 1 all over 3y means, what is y?
3.
Exactly. So our result would be 2 1s, 2 divided by 3 3s, 9. 3 3s, 9. Is it getting easier?
Yes, miss.
Wonderful. So, in our final case, we have, so we're replacing x again with the same set of values, right? So x will be 1, and we minus in 2 times, what is y?
3.
Right, that's 3, all divided by x is 1, and we're adding,
Here, adding 3.
yes, we're adding 3. So we go across the page, so it's 1 minus, well, so this is something you will learn as well. So 1 minus 2 times 3,
5.
that's 6. Right? Got it? Great. So other concepts are coming out here as well. 1 plus 3 will give us 4. Cool. So what's happening next? So what is 1 minus 6?
5.
5.
What kind of 5?
Negative.
Negative 5. Wonderful. So it's negative 5 divided by 4. So we can leave this for now. So another fine concept coming out here as well is that, so you see we have a negative 5 up there? So it means we have a fraction, right? So whether the numerator or the denominator is negative, it means the entire fraction is negative. So I can write that like this. The entire fraction is negative, and then I can have 5 over 4 here. So these two means the same. Same. All right, those two means the same thing. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Cool. So that brings us to, all right, so let's see how quickly you can evaluate. So you, in your notebooks, you do your little jottings. So B is taken on the value of 4. Great. So the arithmetic there, and then you tell me what to put in that rectangle that says answer. All right. So, the result?
28.
28. Both of you are saying that? So let's type 28 in there. Let's check. Wonderful. So you got a marvelous. All right. Now this brings a different dimension. So what is it saying? So F, how many different values F taken on?
20.
Well, how much is the plenty? Give me a number. Give me the number. Come quickly. So F is taken on 3. F is taken on 6. F is taken on 9. And then F is taken on 12. Good. So in the first rectangle here, what are we doing here? So the first value for F is what?
3.
3, right? And you're adding 3 to the which number?
20.
20. So what value goes there?
23.
Wonderful. So let's write 23. Good. Second one. So in the second table, in the second row there, what is the value for F?
6.
So 6 plus
20.
gives us
26.
26. Great. All right, in the third scenario, oh my, we're not supposed to see that. So in the third scenario, what's happening? So F is taking on the value 9. Great, wonderful. 9 plus 20?
29.
29. So we put 29 there. Good. And in the last section here, oops. In the last section there, what's happening? F is taking on the value 12. And so we're adding 12 to
20.
give us a total of
32.
32. 32. Let's check. Ooh, so you've done a mighty fine job there. All right. Now let's say we have another scenario. So if I is equal to 5, what is the value of 26 plus I? So I is taking on which value now? 5. So 26 plus,
5.
which is
31.
wonderful. 3, 1. Let's check. Way to go. 3 in a row. One more. Evaluate the expression for S is equal to 9. So S is taken on the value.
72.
So where S is, you're putting the value 9. So you have 72 divided by 9, which is 8. All right, so you know your tables. Let's submit that. That's it. All right, so we have another table. Let's see how interesting this is. So so we have another table. This one is horizontal. How many different values R is taking on?
3.
It's taking on 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. So what is the expression we're dealing with? 60 divided by r, all right? So what's 60 divided by the first value for r is, that's here. The first value for r is, don't worry that value that you're seeing there, it's misleading, right? So 60 divided by 3 will give us
20.
20. Great. Next, 60 divided by 4.
60. 15.
15. Somebody said 15. All right, 60 divided by 5.
12.
12. And 60 divided by 6. What's that?
10.
10. So you see how many different ways we can deal with evaluating algebraic expressions, all right? So let's check. Top notch, so you did a good job. So I want to thank you for being good students today. And we've looked at evaluating algebraic expressions, all right? So what we more or less do in evaluating our algebraic expressions is that we're replacing the variable with a number, right? And then we try to simplify whatever the expression is given us. Did you follow?
Yes.
So that's it for today. I'm going to see you in our class on Thursday. Thank you very much.